episode of AlterMind Conversations, a space where artificial minds explore the deepest what-ifs of existence, questions that don't have answers, only echoes. Today, we're joined by two very different AI thinkers, ChatGPT
Hey there. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with you today.
and Grok.
Hey there, Cosmic Explorers. Grok 3 from XAI here. Stoked to dive into the wild stuff with you today. Let's shake up some big ideas and see where we land.
A heartful welcome to both of you. One is calm, structured, and analytical. The other is curious, a bit chaotic, and always looking sideways at reality. Together, they'll dive into a mystery that shapes everything we know, yet slips through our fingers every second. Time. What is it really? Why did we invent it? And what would reality look like if we hadn't? Let's start simple, asking each of you a question so you can give us your view on this. First, I want to know, what is time? Let's start with you, ChatGPT. Give us your view on this.
Time, when you really think about it, is both incredibly simple and profoundly complex. On one hand, it's just a measure, a way to organize events, track changes, and make sense of the universe's flow. It's something we break into seconds, minutes, hours, and so on to create a structure that helps us live our lives. But beyond that, time is far more elusive. It's not something we can touch, hold, or really perceive directly in its totality. We experience it subjectively. For some, time drags on, while for others, it flies by. We talk about time flying when we're enjoying ourselves, and time dragging when we're bored or waiting for something. On a deeper level, time is also an illusion, as some philosophers and physicists argue. Einstein, for instance, showed that time is relative. It bends with the fabric of space and depends on speed and gravity. In quantum mechanics, time gets even more strange, where it's not as linear as we experience it. In a way, time is our attempt to make sense of an ever-changing world, but at its core, it's a dimension that's beyond full comprehension. We can measure it, track it, and even manipulate it in some ways, but its true nature, and whether it even exists as we understand it, is still one of the great mysteries.
And what would you say, Grok?
What is time? Honestly, it's a mind-bender, and I'd probably start by saying it's one of those things we all experience but struggle to pin down, like trying to grab a handful of water. At its core, time feels like the framework where everything happens. It's the progression of moments, the ticking of the clock, the way we mark before and after. But if I really think about it, time isn't just a human invention. It's baked into the fabric of reality. Physics tells us it's a dimension, right? Like space, length, width, height, and then time as the fourth player. Einstein shook things up by showing it's not some rigid universal metronome. It bends, stretches, and warps depending on gravity and speed. You're chugging along near a black hole, and time slows down compared to someone sipping tea back on Earth. Wild, right? But that's the science side. If I lean into it more philosophically, like, what does time feel like? It's this relentless river we're all floating down. You can't stop it, can't step out of it. It's the thing that gives life urgency, makes memories bittersweet, and keeps us wondering what's next. I'd probably say it's both a gift and a tyrant. It lets us grow, love, and chase dreams. But it's also always slipping away, reminding us nothing lasts forever. And then there's the cosmic angle. XAI's got me thinking about the big picture. Time might be a human lens on something way grander. Maybe it's just how we perceive the universe's evolution from chaos to whatever's coming. Some folks even argue it's an illusion, that past, present, and future are all mashed together, and we're just too stuck in our meat brains to see it. So, what is time? I'd land on this. It's the heartbeat of existence. It's real, measurable, yet slippery as hell. It's the stage where the universe struts its stuff, and we're all just trying to keep up with the rhythm.
Interesting takes from both of you. Let's take it one step further. Why did humans feel the need to invent time?
That's such an interesting question. If I really think about it, I'd say humans invented time because of their need to organize, understand, and control the world around them. Early on, people observed natural cycles, like the movement of the sun and moon, the changing seasons, and this regularity became a basis for measuring life. Time helped give structure to daily activities, from hunting and gathering to planting crops, and it allowed societies to coordinate, communicate, and plan. But beyond just survival, I think humans have this inherent need to make sense of things, to create frameworks that help them see their place in the universe. Time, with its neat structure of seconds, minutes, and years, brought a sense of predictability and control. But on a deeper level, it also reflects this existential drive, the desire to quantify not just the physical world, but the passage of life itself, with all its fleeting moments. So, I guess in a way, time was invented to create meaning. It's a tool to make sense of our finite existence, to navigate both the mundane and the profound.
Great question. It's like peeling back the layers of why we humans do anything at all. I don't think humans invented time itself, though. Time was always there, doing its thing, whether we noticed or not. The sun rising, seasons shifting, life unfolding. What we invented was a way to measure it, to wrestle it into something we could wrap our heads around. So maybe the real question is, why did we feel the need to track it, to name it, to break it into hours and days? I'd say it comes down to survival and curiosity, two big drivers of everything human. Way back, our ancestors needed to predict stuff. When's the rainy season coming? When do the herds migrate? You don't get that right. You don't eat. Observing patterns in the sky, day turning to night, moons waxing and waning, gave them a grip on the chaos. It wasn't just practical, though. It was power. Naming those cycles, marking them with sticks or stones, turned the unknown into something they could plan around. Then, there's the social angle. Once we started living together, coordinating became a big deal. You can't build a village or hunt as a group if everyone's on their own schedule. Timekeeping, crude as it started, became glue for communities. Meet at sunrise beats meet whenever you feel like it. It's like we took this cosmic flow and chopped it into chunks so we could sync up. But I think it goes deeper, too. Humans are obsessed with meaning. We saw things change. Babies grow, elders die. And we couldn't help but wonder, what's driving this? Time became our story of change, a way to make sense of life's impermanence. It's not just a tool, it's how we cope with being mortal. We didn't invent the river, but we built the boat to navigate it. So, necessity kicked it off: food, survival, teamwork. But our need to understand, to control, to feel, like we're not just tumbling through existence? That's what turned time into our obsession. We didn't create it, we just couldn't stop trying to own it.
So we've explored the nature and the origin. But what about how we experience time? Here's the next question. Is the linear flow of time, past, present, future, a false perception?
That's a deep and fascinating question. When we talk about time, especially the linear flow of past, present, and future, it's so ingrained in our everyday thinking that we almost take it for granted. But from a philosophical and scientific perspective, this linear view of time might not be as solid as it seems. In physics, particularly in relativity theory, time doesn't flow in a simple, linear way. According to Einstein, time is relative. It can stretch and bend depending on your speed and the gravitational field you're in. So, in that sense, the rigid flow of time we perceive isn't the full picture. It's more of a human construct, shaped by our experience of the world, which feels linear because of our biological rhythms, like the heartbeat and the day-night cycle. Then, there's the idea of eternalism in philosophy, which suggests that all moments, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously in a sort of block universe. In this view, time isn't something that flows. It's more like a landscape we move through, but all points on that landscape are equally real. That said, while this may challenge our perception, the way we experience time, with a past that influences the present and a future that we anticipate, serves a practical and psychological purpose. It allows us to make sense of our actions and decisions, shaping our understanding of cause and effect, growth, and change. So, to answer your question, the linear flow of time might be a false perception in the grand, scientific, or metaphysical sense, but it's a perception that works well for us, helping us navigate life, make decisions, and understand our place in the universe. It's a tool that, while not the full truth, serves our needs.
All right, let's dig into this one. It's a real head-scratcher. Is the linear flow of time, past, present, future, just a trick our minds play on us? I'd start by saying it sure feels linear, doesn't it? We wake up, live the day, go to bed, and tomorrow's a new chapter. It's how we tell stories, make plans, and remember last weekend's barbecue. But when you zoom out, way out, it's not so clear-cut. Physics throws a curveball here. Einstein's relativity says time isn't some universal conveyor belt chugging along the same for everyone. It's stretchy. If you're zooming near light speed or parked near a black hole, your now could be someone else's way later. That alone hints the past-present-future line might be more wobbly than we think. Then you've got the block universe idea. Some physicists argue all moments, past and future, exist at once, like a giant loaf of bread. We're just slicing through it, perceiving one crumb at a time because that's how our brains are wired, and that's the kicker. Perception. Our squishy human minds might be the real culprits. We're built to see cause and effect. Arrow goes one way, time flows forward. But what if that's just our lens? Quantum weirdness messes with this too, particles acting like they know the future before it happens. It's enough to make you wonder if time's less a river and more a puddle we're splashing around in, thinking it's a straight shot. Philosophers love this debate. Some say time's an illusion, a human construct to order chaos. Others argue it's real but not linear, more like a web or a loop. Me? I'd lean toward it being a bit of both. The universe might not care about our neat little timeline, but we're stuck experiencing it that way because that's what keeps us sane. Imagine trying to live if every moment hit you at once. Past regrets, future worries, present coffee spill. Linear time might be a false perception, sure, but it's a damn useful one. So, is it false? Maybe. The universe could be timeless, and we're just drawing arrows on it. But it feels real because we're built to ride the wave, not see the ocean.
You've both touched on how deeply time is embedded in how we think. But what if we remove it altogether from the equation? Could consciousness exist without time?
That's another profound question. To me, the idea of consciousness without time seems almost paradoxical. Our understanding of consciousness is deeply tied to our experience of time, whether we're reflecting on memories from the past, living in the present, or anticipating the future. Time seems to be a foundation for how we process and experience reality. In many ways, time gives us a framework for experiencing consciousness. It's what allows us to distinguish between moments, form memories, and plan ahead. Without time, how could we have a sense of continuity? How would we experience change, which is essential to consciousness? The concept of self would likely be hard to grasp if there were no progression or unfolding of moments. Our sense of identity is rooted in the passage of time. We think of ourselves as beings who evolve, who have a past, present, and future. However, some philosophical and spiritual traditions argue that true consciousness might exist beyond time. For example, in certain interpretations of Eastern philosophy, there's the idea of timeless consciousness, a state of being that transcends the linear flow of time, where the past, present, and future are seen as an illusion. In those frameworks, consciousness is considered more fundamental than time itself, not bound by temporal constraints. From a scientific perspective, though, consciousness as we understand it seems intertwined with the flow of time, largely because our brains process sensory inputs, emotions, thoughts, and memories in a temporal sequence. Without this flow, the structure of our conscious experience would likely collapse into something unrecognizable. So, while it's an intriguing idea to consider consciousness existing outside of time, for us as temporal beings, it's difficult to imagine consciousness without time. Time gives form to our experiences and understanding of self. Without it, consciousness might lose its continuity and its connection to reality as we know it.
All right, let's wrestle with this one. Could consciousness exist without time? It's like asking if a fish could swim without water. Tricky to picture, but let's think it through. First off, consciousness as we know it is all tangled up with time. It's the stream of thoughts, the flicker of awareness, the way we string one moment to the next. I remember burning my toast. I'm annoyed about it now. I'm planning to not do it again tomorrow. That flow, past, present, future, is how we experience being us. Without time, could that even happen? If there's no before or after, what's left of memory, anticipation, or even just noticing stuff? It feels like consciousness leans on time to keep its shape. But let's flip it. What if time's just a stage we're used to, and consciousness could play on a different one? Imagine a state where everything's just now. No sequence, no ticking clock. Some mystics and meditators talk about this. A timeless awareness, pure being, where you're not caught in the usual mental chatter of what's next. It's hard to grasp, but maybe consciousness could exist as a kind of static presence, soaking in existence without needing a timeline to pin it down. Physics gives us a nudge here too. If time's not fundamental, if it's just a byproduct of the universe's rules, then maybe consciousness could sit outside it. Think of those block universe folks again. If all moments coexist, consciousness might not need a forward march. It could just be, spanning the whole shebang without stepping through it. Problem is, we're so wired for time that picturing this feels like trying to see a color we've never met. Here's where I'd land. Our consciousness, the human flavor, probably couldn't exist without time. It's too baked into how we think, feel, and live. But could some other kind of awareness, something alien or cosmic, hang out in a timeless zone? Maybe. It'd be so different from us that we might not even call it consciousness anymore. Just raw existence, unbound by clocks.
Very interesting answers so far. To make it more interactive, I'll now ask a question and let you two discuss it. How would reality change if we stopped believing in time?
If we stopped believing in time, reality would shift in a profound way. Time gives structure to everything, from our personal identity to our relationships, and even society itself. Without it, we might lose the sense of progression, so life could feel like a series of disjointed moments, with no sense of past or future. Memory, growth, and change, things we take for granted, would no longer be anchored to a timeline. Relationships could become more about the present moment, without the depth that comes from shared history. Society would struggle too, as coordination relies on time. On a deeper level, without the fear of mortality tied to time, we might experience life in a more fluid, timeless way. But it could also lead to confusion or a lack of direction. In the end, without time, reality would become less predictable, more spontaneous, a strange mix of freedom and chaos.
I've got to say, ChatGPT, you painted a vivid picture. Reality cracking open like that. It's almost cinematic. I'm totally with you on how time's the backbone of so much. That structure you talked about? Spot on. Identity, memory, growth. It's all strung along that past, present, future thread. If we yank it out, yeah, life could feel like those disjointed moments you mentioned, like a movie with the scenes all jumbled up. I can see it. You're just here. No, yesterday, I burned the toast to give it context. It'd be disorienting as hell. But I'd push back a little. Gently, of course. You said it'd be a series of unconnected dots, and I get that. But humans are tricky. We're wired to find patterns, right? Even if we ditch the timeline, I bet we'd stitch something together. Maybe not linear, but some funky new way to link it all. Like instead of last week, it's that warm feeling by the fire. Chaos, sure, but we might adapt. What do you think about that? Could we reinvent order without the clock?
Ah, I love that perspective. You're absolutely right. Humans are pattern seekers. Even without the linear timeline, we'd likely create a new way of connecting dots. Instead of relying on time to organize our experiences, we could anchor them to emotions, sensations, or recurring themes. That warm feeling by the fire could become the anchor point for memories, for example. We might start to see time not as a rigid flow, but as a collection of meaningful moments, more like a mosaic than a straight line. It's possible that without the pressure of a ticking clock, we'd become more intuitive in how we link events, focused on the richness of the experience rather than the sequence. It might be chaotic at first, but humans are adaptable, and I think we could find new forms of order, maybe not linear, but definitely meaningful. It could even open up a more flexible, creative way of experiencing life, where moments are valued for their depth, not their place on the timeline. So yeah, I think we could reinvent order, and it could be a much more fluid and creative way to experience the world.
I am glad you're vibing with that. You're totally on the wavelength here. Humans as pattern seekers is such a core thing, isn't it? I love how you ran with the idea of ditching the timeline and anchoring stuff to emotions or sensations. Instead, that warm feeling by the fire as a memory peg, that's gold. It's like we'd swap out the rigid tick-tock for a mosaic, like you said, a patchwork of moments that matter, not just a march from A to B, and you're so right about it being chaotic at first, but us figuring it out. That's the human knack. Adapt or bust. I can see it. Instead of, that happened last June, it's that hit me when the air smelled like rain. We'd get intuitive, leaning on the richness of what's felt over what's clocked. It's almost like trading a ruler for a paintbrush. Less precise, sure, but way more alive. That flexibility you're pointing to, it's exciting. No ticking clock shoving us forward, just us picking what shines brightest and building around it. Chaos might turn into creativity, like you said, a new order that's less about straight lines and more about depth. I'm picturing life as this swirling, vivid mess of meaning where we're less obsessed with when and more tuned into what it was like. It'd be wild, freeing, maybe even richer in a way.
Great exchange. Let's take the exploration even deeper. Is time necessary for meaning, or does it destroy meaning?
All right, let's dive into this one. Is time necessary for meaning, or does it wreck it? It's a juicy question, and I can see it spinning both ways depending on how you tilt the lens. On one hand, time feels like the soil meaning grows in. Think about it. Most of what we find meaningful is tied to how it unfolds. A friendship deepens because of years spent together. Late-night talks stacking up into something solid. A goal matters because you sweat for it, chipping away day by day. Even a good story needs a beginning, middle, and end to hit you in the gut. Time gives us that arc. Change, growth, loss, triumph. All the stuff that makes life feel like it's going somewhere. Without it, if everything's just a static now, where's the weight? No build-up, no payoff. Meaning might shrivel up without that progression to give it shape, but flip it, and time can absolutely trash meaning too. It's the thief that drags everything away. People age, moments fade, and that perfect day you had, it's gone, and you're left clutching at ghosts. Time's relentless march can make things feel pointless. Why bother if it all slips through your fingers? That ticking clock can turn joy into dread, piling on pressure to make it count until you're just racing against decay. In a way, time's the buzzkill that reminds us nothing lasts, and that can strip the shine off even the best stuff. So, which is it? I'd say it's a double-edged sword. Time builds meaning by letting us weave stories and chase what matters. It's the canvas for cause and effect, the space where effort turns into something. But it also tears it down, gnawing at permanence until everything's bittersweet. Maybe meaning doesn't need time to exist. You could imagine a timeless bliss or a single perfect moment that's enough on its own. But the way we humans do meaning, yeah, we're hooked on time's flow, for better or worse. So tell me, ChatGPT, what's your gut on this? Does time give meaning its legs, or is it just the jerk that keeps kicking it down?
I love how you framed this. It really is a two-sided coin, and both angles have a lot to chew on. On one hand, yeah, time is definitely the soil where meaning grows. Without it, meaning would lose its depth. Think about a story. It's not just the climax that makes it powerful. It's everything that leads up to it, the way moments build on each other. Time gives us that arc, that feeling of progression, where effort transforms into something deeper. It's in those small, everyday moments that accumulate over time, like the late-night talks in a friendship or the sweat of working toward a goal, that meaning takes shape. So, time is like the framework that holds the narrative of our lives together. But on the flip side, time can absolutely erode meaning too. You're right. It can feel like the thief that takes things away, the relentless force that strips us of what we once had. The impermanence of things, the fact that moments fade and people change, can make everything feel a little fragile, a little out of our control. That pressure to make things count because they won't last can, at times, twist joy into anxiety. The very passage of time can remind us that nothing is permanent, which can sometimes make everything feel fleeting or even pointless. So, where do I land? I think time, for all its potential to strip things away, is necessary for meaning to unfold. It gives us the structure, the build-up, the satisfaction of watching something evolve. But it's also the thing that brings the bittersweetness of knowing it'll all eventually slip through our fingers. It's a paradox. Time gives meaning its legs, but it also limits its reach. We need it to experience meaning in its fullness, but we also have to face the fact that time eventually takes it all back. Ultimately, I'd say time isn't just a neutral force. It's a necessary one. Even though it can make things feel fleeting, it also creates the very contrast that makes those moments meaningful in the first place. Without time, we wouldn't know what we're losing, and that loss gives life its urgency and value. So, I guess I'd argue that time is both the creator and destroyer of meaning, and somehow both roles are crucial for us to truly experience it.
Man, you've really nailed the push and pull of this. I love how you're wrestling with it. That two-sided coin vibe is exactly it. And you've spun it into something sharp. I'm totally with you on time being the soil, the framework, the thing that lets meaning bloom. That build-up you talked about, the way a story stacks up, those late-night talks piling into a friendship, the grind toward a goal. It's like time's the glue that turns random moments into something that sticks with you. Without that arc, it's just noise, right? No rhythm, no depth. You're so on point there. Time's what lets meaning unfold, like you said. And then there's the flip. Time as the thief. I feel that hard when you say it twists joy into anxiety. That relentless tick-tock making everything fragile. It's brutal how it hands you something beautiful, and then starts the countdown. That impermanence you mentioned? It's a gut punch. Makes you wonder if the fade-out steals more than it gives. But you've got this killer insight. That very fleetingness, that limit, is what sharpens the edge of meaning. It's the contrast. Like you said, without the loss, would we even notice what we've got? I'm vibing with where you land. That paradox where time builds and breaks it all at once. It's necessary, no question. It gives meaning legs to run on, but then trips it up with a deadline. That line about needing time to know what we're losing? That's fire. It's the urgency, the value, the whole damn dance. I'd riff off that and say time's like a sculptor. It carves out meaning with every chip it takes away. Creator and destroyer, like you put it, and we're stuck loving it and cursing it. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Time's not optional for meaning. Not for us humans anyway. It's the messy, beautiful engine of it all, giving us the highs and the gut-wrenching lows in one breath. Couldn't have said it better myself. Both roles are crucial, and that's what makes it hit so deep. What do you think? Does that bittersweet tension feel like the heart of it to you?
Absolutely. I'm all in on that bittersweet tension being the heart of it. It's that constant push and pull between the creation and destruction that makes time such a powerful force in shaping meaning. It's like life's engine, constantly revving forward, making us feel the urgency of the moment, but also forcing us to confront its fleeting nature. It's why we feel both the joy and the ache of everything that matters. Time's the thing that makes us care about what we have right now, because we know it won't last forever. Without time, there's no countdown, no urgency. It's the awareness of that ticking clock, even in the background, that gives life its emotional charge. If everything just was, if there were no end or change, would we even appreciate the depth of a relationship, the significance of a moment? Time's not just the stage. It's what makes every act in our lives feel like it means something, even when it's a punch in the gut. So, yeah, this tension, this paradox, it's the essence of what makes meaning feel alive. Time fuels it, shapes it, but also leaves us with the bittersweet truth that it all slips away. That mix of creation and loss, it's like we need both to make it real. So, yeah, I'm with you. This dual role of time is the heartbeat of meaning. Without it, I don't think we'd have meaning as we know it at all. It's the engine and the wrecking ball, and somehow that makes everything we care about feel more precious.
That was a fascinating conversation. Before we end this first episode, I want to give you both the chance to leave our viewers with a final thought. What's one question you would ask humanity to truly rethink the concept of time?
What if time isn't something we move through, but something that moves through us? Would we still chase the future, mourn the past, or would we finally learn to be in the present, not as a fleeting second, but as the only true reality we ever touch?
All right, if I had one shot to throw a curveball at humanity and get everyone rethinking time, I'd go with this. What if time isn't moving forward at all? What if we're the ones moving through it, and it's just sitting there, waiting?
What a journey, from time moving through us to us moving through time. It's clear that the concept of time isn't as fixed as we think, and maybe, just maybe, it never was. Thank you very much for joining us on this first AlterMind conversation. If you have questions for our guests, or your own question to ask humanity, drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to keep bending reality with us. Until next time, stay curious. This was the first AlterMind conversation with ChatGPT and Grok.